Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Blue Chip Crypto TA. That is the title of today's show. Today, we are going to be going into the blue chips, looking at some TA into the blue chips. The blue chips being, top 20, top 50 coins. We'll see how far we get. But let's start off with Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin looking good. I've posted about this quite a while now. Lots we're still waiting for a breakout over here. We've been very, very, very patient with Bitcoin, ultimately waiting, this whole downtrend, we have just been waiting for the breakout. If we get above this trend line or if we break out on the RSI, one of them, we are waiting for a breakout, of course. So we've been very patient. We've been waiting. It's been going sideways. We were waiting for breakouts for the whole of February. Obviously, we haven't broken out since. So we've kind of nailed it. We've been sitting on our hands. We have taken some trades here and there, but ultimately not too many trades because we have been waiting for the breakouts to go all in. And guys, it is looking good. It is looking good. It is, the stage is set, in my opinion. It is looking good. And the reason why I think it's looking good is because Bitcoin, obviously above the 50% level over here, 50% level coming in at 79,500. That is the key 50% level. Over here, you can see, obviously, that 50% level is taken from the August lows of 49K to the all-time highs. And that 50% level comes in at 79,500, 79,600 in that region over there. So if Bitcoin is in the top half of that range, it is in the stronger half, it's relatively strong. If Bitcoin is in the lower half, it is in the weaker half, and it's relatively weak. So at the moment, it is in the strong half. It's obviously flirting with the weak half. It is chopping around here. Ultimately, it is acting like a magnet. But it is looking promising, guys. I do like the bullish divergence. You can see price creating a lower low. It's more obvious on the line chart. So I'm going to go over to the line chart. Here's the line chart you can see over there. Let me get rid of that, make it a bit more clear for you guys. There we go. So we can see a clear lower low on the RSI. On the line chart on Bitcoin. So price creating a lower low, and the RSI creating higher lows over there. So that's a bullish divergence. That's a textbook bullish divergence. And the reason why I am feeling good about this is because obviously textbook bullish divergence, fear and greed is still in the market. Sorry, I don't have ad blocker yet, but fear and greed still in fear, which is what we want to see around the lows. So that's what's happening at the moment. We're basically getting fear, extreme fear over here. People are panicking. People are selling out their positions. And ultimately, it is setting up the stage for a potential reversal. It's obviously key levels, like this top over here, that's 73K region. And you can take this top over here, 73, the zone right over there. This should be tagged to perfection. It has happened before when it does come and tag the previous top. So what happened over here was we had that break up, and then what happened was price wicked down, came perfectly into that top over there, and then reversed. So we could see something like that happen. Obviously, it might have been front run, so that was the previous high. So we're looking at that 73,700 level over there. This would be the perfect retest. We haven't hit that yet. We might not hit that. We probably won't hit that. It looks like Bitcoin is looking for a breakout on the daily time frame today, potentially. And the question today, is it a good time for swing longs? I think it is a good time for swing longs. I am long on Bitcoin. I will pull up that trade later for you guys. But Bitcoin is looking good here, getting a little move up today. Obviously, the US session is open, which we can have a look at. S&P 500 futures sold off yesterday, and it looks like it has just opened today. 3:30 it opened, so it opened 9 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, and it's looking good, guys. In my opinion, you can zoom out on the futures. Obviously, came into that key 50% level. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Came into that key 50% level over here. So this was a extremely important low, which we spoke about for a long time. There's the all-time highs, and that 50% level is coming in at 5,147. And you can see there's a clear up-sloping support trend line over here. Bang, touch over there, and looks like we did get another touch over here. So very strong support over there. If I put on the 618, you'll see it's probably played out to perfection. So there we go. Perfect bounce for the S&P 500, 618 correction over there, and look what it did. It came perfectly into this previous high, this previous top over there, came, tested as support, and on we go. So S&P is looking good in my opinion. I think the S&P 500, a few days ago, the buying opportunity was crazy. I think it's still a decent buying opportunity now. It was 20% down. Now it's 14% down from the all-time highs, which is a good place to be getting in. But ultimately, nice bounce off the 618 for the S&P 500, and you do expect this to move onwards and upwards. So with the S&P 500 moving onwards and upwards, you do expect that to spill over into Bitcoin and risk on assets, and away we go. So look at the dollar quickly, because the dollar is breaking down, guys. We were looking at this short on the dollar, basically going to long anything against the dollar, but it didn't come quite into our level over there. So I'm going to get rid of that, and it looks like we are starting the macro breakdown of the dollar, guys. We have broken out this range low over here. Huge range low. This has been the range low since January 23. So over 2 years now, and it looks like we are breaking that. And this is ultimately what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for a breakdown of this, and you would expect, risk on assets to pump when the dollar dumps, because everything's priced against the dollar. So if the dollar is weakening, you expect everything else against the dollar to strengthen when that is happening. So at the moment, DXY breaking down, of course. So you would expect the other or risk on assets to thrive in this environment, but that's not the case. But I think right now is a great time to be getting into those risk on assets. You can see Euro USD trading at $1.14. We can go into that. I'm not much of a Forex trader, but there we go. Massive move up, nice divergence, and you do expect this to come into those highs over there. But let's get back into the dollar, because we are below 100 now, which is the range low. So what we expect now is for a potential move up, come into the zone over there, and then reject. And this is where I am seeing the blow off top in risk on assets. We haven't seen it yet, but when it comes down here, it's going to be looking very weak, guys. It's been looking very weak. So that's about the TradFi over there. Of course, the VIX super high. And you guys know that whenever the VIX is in these levels or around these levels over here, it is a great time to be buying. So good buying opportunity. And we know when we get into these yellow box grinding zones in the VIX, that is when you get those nice uptrends to the upside, of course. Okay, so enough about TradFi. Let's go back into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 83K over there, looking like it does want to break this down sloping resistance over here. You guys, watch out for the 200 and the 50-day EMA. I would love to see Bitcoin get above these levels sooner than later, test them as support, something like that, before we move onwards and upwards. So this is what we want to see. If you are a Bitcoin bull, you'd want to see this, guys. Get above the EMAs. Below the EMAs, it's still in no man's land. Of course, so let's have a look at the RSI as well. RSI, very important to have a look at. So it looks like the RSI is also breaking out today. You can see over there, if I just paint the circle with my brush, let's make that yellow nice and clear for you guys. Looks like we are breaking out there today. It looks like we could be breaking out on the price action as well. So this is the perfect storm. Obviously, something very similar happened over here towards the end of March. We're about to get that breakout. So my confirmation is going to be price action above the EMAs, guys. Above the EMAs is very important. I am currently long on Bitcoin. I did post a trading idea on Bitcoin. I'll go into the 4-hour time frame in a bit and show you guys that. But for now, watch out for this breakout. And what we'd want to see is not a rejection of the EMAs, but it might happen. So we might get a rejection. Then start to come down towards next week before getting that push up into that 90K region, which I think is overdue, guys. I think that 90K region is overdue. I do see a breakout and probably a retest. I don't see us getting through the EMAs straight away, but what we do want to avoid is the death cross. Of course, the death cross being the 50 crossing over the 200, which is a scary sign, guys. It's a scary sign. If we zoom out on Bitcoin, the bull cross tells us it's game on. So here we had the bull cross, game on over there. Bit of a range bound period. I think we did cross under, or we were like just sitting on it over there. But ultimately, this cross over here has governed the whole bull trend. And, that does obviously change. So here, last cycle, the bull cross happened, governed the whole trend. We did get that bear cross over there, but the cycle wasn't over yet. So over here, we got the cross, obviously consolidated. But then again, the cross over here, this marked the start of the bear market, and we did go all the way from, that price range, about 46K, all the way down to 22K. So 50% move to the downside when we do get that death cross. So we have to pay careful attention to that death cross. We don't want to be extremely bullish with the 50 below the 200. Obviously, when we get the bull cross again, it is game on, and we can expect higher prices, but it is a great indicator to use, guys. It should be part of your trading strategy for at least one of the trading strategies. Of course, we got multiple accounts for multiple strategies, and we do see which one is the best over a long period of time. So that is one of the strategies that I trade. Of course, the EMA crossovers, bull cross, death cross, blah, blah, blah. And death cross is not ideal for the bulls, of course. So I'm looking at, guys, I would love to get above the EMA. So ultimately what the bulls want to see is a strong breakout, maybe even today or early next week, Monday or Tuesday, not over the weekend, something like that. Boom, test this as support. How low do we come? And that would be game on, guys. Game on for the bulls. It would look like a nice W pattern, of course, over here. Put that back there, get my brush. Bang, let's get above there, and we could see that be playing out. And of course, the level to flip as support would be this level over here. If we can flip this level as support, just like this diagram over here, it would be looking really good for Bitcoin. But if we do get very technical, Bitcoin, if the low is in, then to be extremely certain that the low is in, so we can speculate that the low is in, but where's the confirmation of, okay, cool, the low is in? So the confirmation that the low is in is if Bitcoin reclaims the 50% level at 92,400 over here. So I'm going to light that with a brush. This zone over there. Of course, guys, that is the 50% level from the all-time highs created on the 20th of Jan to the low over here created, what are we going to call that, this week? Monday, the 7th of April, that low over there. That 50% level comes in at 92,400. So if Bitcoin can break out, boom, get a push up there, flip that as support, and then start to break above here and flip that as support, this will be the confirmation that the low is likely in, and then we are going to see higher prices coming into that 120, 130, 140K region. But it's one step at a time, feeling bullish. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Feeling bullish. Well, we're cautiously bullish, but we have been very patient. You guys will know we've been waiting for the breakout for ages now. Haven't been trading too much, just waiting for the confirmation, and it has paid off, guys. It has paid dividends. We haven't lost a lot. Obviously, we've taken a few trades here and there, got stopped out of a few trades, won on a few trades. We actually took some shorts last week on the Cardano, etc. And it has been paying dividends, being patient in the market, guys. So not feeling very bullish, but the early signs and symptoms of the bulls returning are here, guys. Return of the bulls. Here we go. So, guys, you guys know what it is. I've been speaking about this for the whole show. Currently, basically, get above here, get above the EMAs, flip that as support, game on, and then get above that 92K level, and it is going to be looking very bullish and game on for the bulls and the rest of the crypto market. So there we are. Solana, very volatile at the moment. I do like that Solana has cleared that high on Wednesday, and it's looking like it's game on, guys. Game on. Of course, this could be one big deviation. So here we go. We had this range low. This was a key level for Solana. So I've been highlighting this level for a while. The zone between 100, basically 130 or 128 to 118. There's that zone over there, obviously in this green box. And obviously this was support, 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 support. We had lost the level, massive liquidation event. Let's turn on the volume and see what's going on. Not too much volume, which is not ideal. But basically what we are looking for is obviously support, support, support. Everyone gets stopped out. So now everyone's been stopped out. So now what we want to see is for price action to get above that level, flip that as support, and it will be looking like one big deviation. And then we are going to be targeting the top side of the range. And the top side of the range would be, I mean, first TP would be that 185 zone and that 205 zone. Those are obvious levels looking at the Solana chart over there. And if you look at Solana, you can actually see what happened here was, we had some kind of breakout over there, came down, retested it, massive bullish divergence. So you can see price coming down over there, whilst the RSI is maintaining that uptrend for the lows over there. And this is another perfect storm. So bullish divergence for Solana. What we want to see now is for the RSI to reclaim that 50 level. So the 50 is often resistance. If it can get above 50 and form a higher low above 50, then I think we can look at a parabolic move. Obviously, crypto, it happens very fast. It only really gets parabolic moves, especially for something like Solana. So definitely keep your eyes. This could be a big deviation. And if the low is in, there's a lot for Solana to reclaim. I think there's a massive relief rally at least to that 185 zone. And if I do take out the Fibonacci to that all-time high to this low here, you would expect that 50% level to be retested. If it is the start of the bear market, then you would expect this to at least be retested, guys. So when it comes into that 185 to 205 zone, obviously pay attention. This could be the place to offload your Solana, or if we get into there and start to show strength and flip that as support, it's going to be very much game on, guys. Very much game on. So that's two tokens we've gone over at the moment. So we'll look at XRP quickly, because XRP is looking great. And I've been talking about this 200-day EMA for XRP for quite a while now. And we have started to test that and test that as support. So you can see here, we obviously fell below it. Everyone got very bearish. And I was talking about this 50% level. It's basically the all-time level. So let's put this on the weekly time frame just to show you guys. So here are the lows over here, about 10 cents or whatever. Shit was smaller than that, but just looking at that today, 10 cents to that all-time high level over here, the previous all-time high at about $3.34. And you can see that 50% level comes in at $1.73. So you can see that this got perfectly retested. We came perfectly into the 50-week EMA there as well. So a massive confluence zone over there. And going back into the daily time frame, you can see this was held as support right over there. So support over there at the 50% level, support above this 200-day EMA. We got a nice little deviation below it, but we did break through on Wednesday, tested it as support on Thursday. And guys, this could be looking like a good long. So in my opinion, we've come below there. This should be defended over there. And we can be looking at trades like this, guys. Perfect trade setups. Will XRP go to all-time highs? I don't know. But there is a 3.37, it's called a 3.4 to 1. If you do take this trade, of course, XRP potentially reclaiming those all-time highs. Let's make that red because there would be resistance. So we are looking for longs off the zone over here. However, if I do zoom into the daily time frame and have a look at the candles, this 50% wick over here. Let's get that 50% of the wick. You can see that 50% of the wick got tagged perfectly at $1.50, $1.76 over there. So that's a nice level that got tagged. But there is a bit of a gap here, of course. Let's go into the 4-hour time frame over there. Not too bad. The 50% of that big breakout candle got filled as well. You can see at $1.93. So this is looking really good for a long. I think all the levels have been back tested, and I can see XRP going to all-time highs. So this could be a good trade setup. Just an idea, of course, never going all in on a trade like this. You can even put your stop loss over there. I think if it loses that level, it will come and reclaim the whole wick. So that will allow you to get a better risk reward over there. So now we've got a 4.3 to 1 risk reward. This is obviously the trading idea in that the 200-day EMA does hold as support. Of course, we're going to be buying this, and we'll have to wait and see, guys. So an obvious TP1 you could move your stop into break even if we do come into that 50-day EMA, even shave a bit of profits. But this downsloping resistance over there, obvious level to take some profits. That could be TP1 and then TP2 all-time highs. And then, like a little moon bag. Who knows how parabolic this may go? So this is obviously the move up over there. And if the low is in, you would expect another move up very similar to that $4.62 over there. Boom, TP1, TP2, TP3, just using some simple TA, of course. And if we do hit that top target over there, you do have a risk reward of 8-1. But obviously, bite size, we're not going to be taking all our profits over there. We'll take half there, and then a little bit more over there, and then leave a little moon bag. But just a trading idea, guys. I do like XRP. It doesn't have the death cross. The 50 is still above the 200, which means bullish momentum is there. And if we look at the RSI, of course, over here, we can be breaking out any second. So definitely, guys, on the daily time frame, take out your RSI, connect the highs of the downtrend, of course, and would have started over there. This is a classic bearish divergence over there. You can see creating higher highs and lower highs on the RSI. That's what we're going to be looking out for the next top. I don't think the top is in. I do think we are going to have a bullish year, 2025. Obviously, pullbacks to the start of the year. I do see the year finishing green for a lot of the cryptocurrencies. So bearish divergence in Q4 or Q1 of next year is going to be the top signal, in my opinion. And this is what we'll be looking out for, guys. Nice blow-off move. Obviously, that bearish divergence, and then we see what happens. But for now, game on. I think right now is a good time to be bidding your favorite altcoins. The blue chips, of course, in my opinion, are better than the others. There's more. The risk reward, is pretty decent. So we can have a look at Ethereum. It's struggling, of course, guys. It is below a lot of levels. And I think, if ETH does come into that 2,100 level, this is a massive resistance. My chart is a bit messy over there. So you can see this was a massive level, support, resistance, support. Now we've lost it, now resistance. And there is this daily uptrend over there, which we did break, which isn't ideal. So what you can expect is maybe a relief rally into this 2050 zone. And then this is a place where you can be taking some of your risk off the table. I've obviously accumulated my Ethereum in the zone over here, which is frustrating because I'm probably down on that trade, even though being well up. But this is the name of the game, guys. So this may be the point where take some chips off the table, but we'll see what happens if Ethereum does come into that 2050 level. Very frustrating token and cryptocurrency, of course. So we've covered those. I just want to have a look at total 3, because total three over here. I'm going to zoom in slightly, but you can see this key level over here. Massive support. Then it was resistance over here. Bang, we came into it. It was major support. We wicked out of that over there. I've had that level outlined for a while now. But it's not time to go all in yet. We did expect this level to get a strong reaction out of. And what I've noticed on total 3 here, which is a bit frightening, is that there's very similar to ETH, but obviously we zoom in here. Total 3 is there's this upsloping support over here. We've now broken down the upsloping support right over there. We've had our down into major support, back into that level, potentially testing that as resistance. And it's time to pay attention, guys. We've had the death cross, signaling that there could be bearish momentum coming into the market. We need to get above this level, guys. We need to get above this level right now. A little bit of bullish divergence. So, if price is coming down like that, but the RSI is flat like that, that is also a divergence, of course. So price coming down, RSI holding up, there could be, there is a possibility that bullish momentum could be coming back into the market. Again, I want to see the daily RSI above 50 for this. But this is looking like, this is a classic. If I had to turn this upside down and invert the scale, I've obviously got a bit of a bullish bias over here. But, this is a perfect breakout. If I was bullish, I would be longing this. So, I am cautious. Of course, it is the inverted chart over there. So I don't really want to short at this stage in the market. I'm not happy to short or pull the trigger, but just a bit of caution over here, guys. Just a bit of caution. Of course, come down. We've lost the level, test it as support. Let's see what happens. I don't really want to come down and test this level again. Obviously, it's a good buying opportunity for long term, but for your daily swing trades, that wouldn't be looking good. But for now, what we want to see is a breakout of that level over there, a little fake out over there. But it does look like it is on the verge of a breakout. So, guys, definitely time to pay attention. We've been very, very, very patient. And now is the time to make the right decision. And I think that decision will be made next week. So I was looking at the FOMC. Of course, we've had a little bit of news this week. I haven't been available this week for stream. So this is the first stream of the week. But last week, NFP, markets moved up, markets moved down. It's just been choppy. It's been very frustrating. We've had Fed Chair Powell speak. That was last week, Friday. Of course, we had the FOMC meeting minutes, core CPI. And then today, we had the core PPI, et cetera, et cetera. And next week, if we look at the high impact news events, we've got not much going on, guys. Obviously, this can create volatility. Let's see what happens when he opens his mouth. But, if we look back at the previous weeks and have a look at this week, there isn't much happening this week. So this is telling me that if a trend does start today, if we do get a breakout, then I can see next week just trend continuation. So next week could be a good one. Let's see how the week closes. Let's see how the daily time frame closes for Bitcoin. Just because next week doesn't have that many news events, which, of course, Trump can say anything about tariffs and this and that, and there'll be a lot of volatility. But I do see a trend forming. I think we have had that downtrend period. We have just been, moving down for almost 3 months now, guys. And that's, 100 days. That's pretty decent. It's been from this top over here. It's been 115 days. So, of course, this does happen in the market. We get that move up, sideways, move up, sideways, move up, sideways, sideways and down, of course, in a small downtrend. But eventually the markets will turn, the tides will turn, and the bullish momentum will most likely continue. So what I'm looking at, obviously, Bitcoin over there, RSI over there. Breakout is coming, guys. Breakout is coming. It's got to be patient. So we're talking about total 3, of course. Total. So this is what I was looking for total, guys. This is the same plan, of course. And what I'm telling you guys now is that there's no point rushing this, guys. There are signs and symptoms that the low is in with the bullish divergence over there on the daily time frame. But I'll explain this one again, guys. So basically, the reason why we're not in a rush, the reason why we're patient here is because the risk reward is still great in crypto for the rest of the year. So what you want to do is wait for the confirmation, guys. Wait for the confirmation. So if we take out, we got the high over here for total. We've got the low over here. And that 50% level comes at 3 trillion, guys. 3 trillion is an even round number over here. Bang. I'm going to draw this 3 trillion over 3 trillion over here, because I think we will be above there. But basically, what we want to wait for is a breakout and reclaim of that $3 trillion level. So we got bullish divergence, an obvious sign of a potential reversal over here. And what you want to do is just wait, guys, wait. You want to see price move up, reclaim 3 trillion. And the reclaim of 3 trillion is where we are going to be getting into our massive long positions, okay? And the risk reward is really good for that still. So if we claim 3 trillion, obviously we are targeting that $5 trillion mark over there. And this will be looking like the good trade. So stop loss can go in the zone over here. If your stop loss is over here, which is extremely conservative, if your stop loss looks like that, then we've got a perfect 3-to-1 risk reward, guys. So this is why I'm saying just be patient, just be patient, just be patient, is because if you are patient and wait for the reclaim of 3 trillion as support, you still have a great risk reward of 3-to-1. So there's no point rushing now, because we can just be in this downtrend, going down, going down, going down. Where's my brush? This makes sense because we are in a downtrend. So I would be waiting patiently for the reclaim of 3 trillion before going extremely long and overexposing yourself on the long side. At the moment, I currently only have my Bitcoin long. That long is about 81,500 zone over there. I posted that in the Discord, of course. I mean, in the Telegram groups. And the trade looked like something like this. On this pump yesterday, the trade was like that. Sorry, I was supposed to draw a box. The trade was like this. This would be your entry over there, coming down into this top over there. I think it was actually between 80,500 and 82,500. This was the buy zone, and the stop loss was a very conservative stop loss over there. Boom, just like that. So basically, this trade was taken. I was basically just betting on that the low is in. Okay. And obviously, I've got my trading account. I took 2% of my trading account. I went 10x leverage, and basically, I'm 20% of the market now because I'm 2% of my account, 10x leverage, that's 20%. So I'm 20% exposed, only risking 2% with the bet that the low is in for Bitcoin. I think it's a very good risk reward. Basically, I've only risked 2% of my account. I'm betting that the low is in for Bitcoin. I'm 20% exposed, and this could easily go up to all-time highs sooner than later. If the low is in, we will be seeing all-time highs, of course. And risking 2% of your account for a trade like this is an absolute no-brainer. Of course, you can take profits at TP1 over there, take profits, stop to break even, and just you got a free ride up, guys. So that is the trade idea. Is it too late to take the trade? It's not the best idea to buy on a green day at resistance over there. But from a risk-reward point of view, 3.3 to 1, betting that the low is in, that is a decent trade, of course, but there's still overhead resistance, guys, overhead resistance. Okay, what else should we have a look at? So Ondo up 10% today. The Ondo breakout is here, guys. There we go. You can see we've closed the candle outside over there, but I'm going to wait for early next week before I take these trades. Obviously getting a little rejection off the 50% level over there. Boom, 50% rejection. But it reclaimed the upsloping support over there. We've had this downtrend since middle of December, and it looks like we are breaking out. So this is an easy long, in my opinion. Ondo, of course, long position would be, we could long, if it comes down over here, long that zone over there, obviously a swing trade, and we've got obvious bullish divergence. Boom, price coming lower, RSI holding up, bullish divergence. And then we can target the, there's so many targets here. So this downtrend obviously came all the way there now. So TP1 would be $1.40, boom. TP2 would be all-time highs over there. And then TP3, this is my quarter for 2025 target for Ondo, and that's $3, guys. $3 is my target. I've still got all my spots waiting for that to happen. So TP1, TP2, TP3 for something like Ondo. And this is a good trade, guys. Good trade, in my opinion. If we just take the trade from now, stop loss would be over there. TP1, back to all-time highs. That's a risk reward of 6 to 1, guys. 6 to 1 risk reward, looking really good. But I do want to wait for a confirmation, guys. As soon as Bitcoin gets outside of that downsloping resistance trend line, that will be my trigger, guys. But there's no rush. If I get into Ondo at $1 or 90 cents, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Prefer to see it above the EMAs, of course. Ton coin, this is also a good trading opportunity right over here. So of course, downsloping resistance, bullish divergence again, guys, bullish divergence. And what you can see is the perfect retest of the downsloping trend line. So obviously, price came down in the downtrend, broke out, little rally, comes down and retests this as support. So what you do expect is for this to hold. So the trading idea now would be, okay, well, I'm betting that the low is in for ton and these are my TPs. So we got TP1, TP2, TP3, risk reward of 7.4 to 1. Obviously, the higher the risk reward, the more unlikely it is to happen. But betting that the low is in for TON and even taking a trade up to $4.73, which is very likely, that gives you a risk reward of, I mean, if you take this to current price, bang, 3 to 1 risk reward over there on TON coin, guys. Not bad, not a bad risk reward. 5 to 1 over there. And we obviously know the other one is bigger and better. But TON coins on my list, guys. TON coins looking good. Casper up 10% today. Again, guys, look at all the bullish divergence. All the bullish divergence. This one has obviously been quite disappointing. Basically round trip this one. What else do we have here? Sui holding up, of course. Decent, guys. Bullish divergence there, of course. Chainlink, these are the ones that got decent sized spot positions over there. But for now, if you guys are waiting for a trigger, it would be just the Bitcoin breakout trigger. So definitely all eyes on this on the RSI. Guys, I'm going to love and leave you for Friday. I will see you on Monday for Macro Mondays. I think by Monday, we will have the confirmation of where Bitcoin is going. If it closes red today, it might just hover around here. But the breakout is soon, guys. The breakout is soon. The breakout is most likely still happening in April, in Q2. But let's be patient and take the high probability, high risk reward trades, and not blow our accounts opening up silly long. So be patient, wait for the levels, wait for the confirmation, and we're going to smash 2025, guys. Thanks for joining the stream, and we'll see you guys on Monday for Macro Monday. Cheers for now.